Right now, I want to welcome to the show from Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit, Mr. Rick Ector is with us. Rick, how are you, sir?
Hey, man, I am great. Better yet, how are you in this post-holiday period?
You know, I am good. We're getting ready to kind of slide into summer. I haven't made my summer vacation plans yet. I got to talk with Cameron Gray and John Pop about that, see when I might be able to take a day or two off here and there. But, you know, I mean, honestly, I hope everybody has a great summer, but I'm kind of looking ahead to November right now, Rick, in the elections. And you know, I mean, I'm getting a little concerned. I don't want gun owners to be apathetic. I don't want gun owners to think that we've got this one in the bag and we don't have anything to worry about. I mean, you've got this a story out of Dearborn, Michigan, and I was so pleased to see the Detroit News reach out to you for comment. But the chief of police there in Dearborn held a press conference last Thursday talking about the need to, you know, ban semi-automatic rifles, the desire to, I think, ban magazines over 10 rounds, quote-unquote universal background checks, the laundry list of gun control items, including, Rick, apparently the chief brought up, we need to make it illegal for you to carry around a loaded rifle in your vehicle while you're driving, which I guess is already illegal in the state of Michigan.
It is, man. It seems like for whatever reason that Dearborn police chief, man, he just picked up the playbook from the anti-gunners and was just reading down a laundry list of all the things that he would like to have in his wildest anti-gun dreams and didn't even run it across current law. And it's kind of funny because he's the police chief and he should know the gun laws in Dearborn, let alone the state of Michigan. But, you know, just some of the things he said, man, and I was glad that I was offered an opportunity to rebut and comment on some of his statements. But, you know, he calls a simple rifle a weapon of mass destruction. We need more gun-free zones. You know, we should have so-called troubled people, you know, to surrender their firearms and this, that, and the other. You know, if there is someone who's documented as being troubled and has like a bona fide issue that runs counter to safety, I mean, law enforcement already has that ability. What I believe he's hinting around at but not saying is this new interest of the anti-gunners, which is these so-called red flag laws. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But he was really looking for a laundry list of anti-gun legislation, and I really don't understand it.
Well, you know, I in a way I do understand it, Rick, because that's what sometimes politically appointed police chiefs call for. Maybe the chief really does believe there should be more gun-free zones. I mean, that was one of his other arguments, right? He actually said, I think there should be more gun-free zones. Said if there's ever a time when our officers are responding to an active shooter situation, I want them to know that the only person in there with a gun is the bad guy. Which I'm guessing if you actually polled those officers, Rick, they'd give you a different answer.
And that's the thing. Most of the time when you talk to rank and file police officers, they'll speak to you candidly face to face, but obviously if their commentary runs contrary to, you know, their leadership, they, you know, obviously can't speak their mind. But like you said, most police chiefs, it's an appointed position. They're subject to the approval of the mayor or whatever this local boards they have that governs them. But, you know, by and large, you know, he was just really shilling for the anti-gun folks, and he was really looking for any anti-gun law and just threw it to the wall and see if it stuck. But, you know, the latest bane that I've been running into is these so-called red flag laws, you know, where, you know, for whatever reason, if some report comes in against a person without due process, you know, there could be a secret court proceeding and they could come over in the middle of the night and knock on the doors and raid your house and take your guns. And then you'll have the opportunity to prove yourself innocent later, you know, which I think is just a smack in the face of not only the Second Amendment, but due process and everything that we as Americans hold dear and true to our hearts.
Well, absolutely. You know, and to that end, Rick, these proposals, which again are pretty much all aimed directly at people who are trying to be legal, law-abiding gun owners, you know, these calls are happening at a time in which we're seeing incredibly light sentences handed out for violent criminals. We just had our deal of the day today. It was from Jackson, Michigan, not far away from where you are. And you had a 19-year-old who was just sentenced for a shooting of a 15-year-old back in, I believe this was 2016. This guy shot the kid in the face. And while he was out on bond awaiting trial for this, he gets caught in illegal possession of a firearm. And a judge says, you're running out of second chances, but I'm going to give you one more. And he sentences him to boot camp and probation. He was facing attempted murder charges. And now he's walking away with boot camp and probation. And if he completes the terms of his boot camp, then this will be taken off of his criminal record. He's 19, Rick. I want to know where's the police chief in Dearborn complaining about that? Or does the police chief in Dearborn feel like crime would be addressed better, that the public safety would be better served by going after your ability to own a firearm or my ability to own a firearm, rather than ensuring that when you shoot somebody in the face, you don't get boot camp and probation?
Man, let me tell you, I've made no secret of this, in appearances I've been on before. Detroit in the Detroit area is challenged when it comes to violent crime. We just had a number of shootings and murders that happened over this holiday weekend, man. And there is plenty for law enforcement to do with criminals who are definitely walking among us and have no qualms about committing violence and going after, law-abiding citizens who have done nothing. We've proven over and over again, by far, that we obey the law. And it's just this compunction that they have, that they just are so fixated with taking guns away from good people. I just don't understand it.
I don't either, but I'm glad we got folks like you out there fighting this, Rick, and again, doing what you can to educate and instruct individuals who are interested in maintaining or exercising for the very first time their right to keep and bear arms, because that's the other thing. The police chief in Dearborn can get up there and he can hold his press conference. He can blame people like yourself and other law-abiding gun owners, say that's what we got to do. We got to go after people like Rick in order to address violent crime. But every time we talk to you, man, you just had 700 plus women show up for free firearms training. Every time we talk to you, you say that people are calling, they're interested in getting their concealed carry license. So it sounds to me like in Michigan, with all of those challenges you talk about in terms of violent crime in the criminal justice system, despite the calls by folks like this politically appointed chief, you've got a lot of people living in the state who are interested in exercising their rights for the very, very first time.
And you know what? And it's steadily growing, and I like to see some of the subgroups of the category of gun owners, such as women, which is growing, and I like to definitely encourage that. We've had several Supreme Court cases that have stated, point blank, that the law enforcement community have no responsibility to prevent any individual citizen from being a victim of violent crime. Personal protection is your responsibility. I don't want the government to disarm me and then be discharged with the duty of protecting me, even though the Supreme Court says that they have no duty to do so. That is completely insane. Let me protect myself, and you know what? At least give me the opportunity to do that. And you know what? And if I don't survive, if I lose, fine, but at least I had an opportunity.
Rick Ector, thank you as always, sir, for coming on the program. It's so good talking with you today.
All right, man. Great to have you. And also, man, I'm gonna keep the fires going, man. I want you guys to keep entertaining this idea of bringing the show on the road to Detroit, man.
Listen, I'll now that Cameron's back from his Mediterranean jaunt, I'll sit down with him and Pop, and we'll try to figure that out. Cameron, you get to go to the Mediterranean. I might get to go to Detroit.
It's a fair trade-off.
Good deal.
All evens out. All right, thank you so much, Rick. We'll talk to you soon. Rick Ector join us from Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit here on Cam & Company.